Okay, good morning. Let's get started. Thanks for joining me this morning. I saw the party last night. It was lots of fun and laughter and good times, so hopefully nobody's feeling that this morning and you're excited to talk about a topic that should seem like it's very easy, right? How hard can it be to hire people? But if you've done it a couple times, you know that it's very difficult to hire people. And we're not just talking about people, we're talking about great people who are committed to your company for the long term and who are really going to show those business impacts that you're looking for. There's a big difference in people. So I'm going to help you today. How do you find the right person who can fit into your organization, and how do we find them now? Because open positions cost time and money on top of frustration and heartache, so we want to get those closed as quickly as possible. Just a brief introduction, I'm Stephanie Beljon. I'm currently the founder and president of Morph Talent Solutions. What we do at Morph is we work with visionary leaders who understand that people is a critical part of their business. It's often overlooked, but it's a very expensive line item and one that's very hard to control. People are not easy to control, and we like to solve their problems and bring solutions that will help them deliver better business results. Before that, I worked at Stryker for over a decade. I had an amazing time there, building a team, loaded it with awesome, talented people who got recognized for work, felt challenged every day, and were really committed to success. And that's where I found out, you know what I really love about work is solving people problems. So today, we're gonna solve a people problem about talent and recruiting. You should all have a handout. Does anyone not have a handout? Can get one run to you. Okay, we're gonna work through that actually kind of from back to front, so I'll walk you through that as we go through our talk today. So the fact that you're even here tells me that you know recruiting is critical, and you also know it's hard. So did you know that up to 60% of an employee's annual salary is what it costs to replace them? This is a very conservative number. Some research goes up to 2 times their annual salary. That's a lot of money to spend on turnover and hiring people. So it's expensive. And it also takes too long. The average time to hire a sales role is 10 weeks. And that's the average, guys. That means some of these roles are sitting open for almost half a year. I mean, the loss from that is just not acceptable. And finally, the unemployment rate is at a historic low. And what this means for you and what you're feeling day in and day out is that there's not even a lot of people to choose from. So we take a difficult process, we want to find the best people, and then we make that candidate pool really, really small and say, okay, now try to choose from this. And so the layers of complexity just become harder and harder. But the good news is you're going to leave here today with some skills and some tools to help beat the odds. All right, I like to read the last page of a book first. Maybe I'm the only one, so we're going to jump right into what's the meat of the presentation. It's the X factors. What I mean by the X factors are what are the things that most hiring managers are not looking for? Because we want to do something different and better than what they're doing so that we can win the war for great talent. So let me ask you a question. Bob and Sally, they're 2 people that you've hired, and on paper, they look the same. They have the same education, the same experience, but for some reason, Sally is outperforming Bob by 3-fold. She's just a better hire. You like her more, you feel like you did the right thing, and you won with Sally. Has anybody ever had this experience? I see some heads nodding. Yeah, and it's like, what did I miss with Bob? Why is this not going well? Any ideas? What makes this difference? Because that is what we're going to figure out today. How do we assess for this? Any ideas? What's the difference? Maybe home life, personal factors. Any other ideas? Sorry? It's a woman. I'll take that as a compliment, I think. Could be. Yeah, there's lots of factors, but they're not things that are easy to look at a resume and ask questions about in an interview until today. So I'm going to focus on 2 key X factors. If you assess for these, you automatically have a leg up in hiring the best talent that's out there. The first is natural behaviors. What do I mean by natural behaviors? These are the things that you just cannot teach someone. It's things like work ethic or relationship skills or customer service. Those things that some people just have it and some people don't. It's our stripes. You know, we're zebras and we just don't change our stripes that much. We kind of are who we are and like what we like. That's our natural behaviors. So we need to learn how to assess for natural behaviors. A good example of this is you can have someone who loves to go to the party last night and works the room and shakes hands and has drinks, and they feel so energized when they go back to their room at night. You have somebody else who goes to the party and makes a beeline for their best friend and sits in the corner and has a great intimate chat and feels energized when they go back to their room at night. Neither of those are wrong, but they're very different, and they have a huge impact on your success with hiring. The next is fit to company. And what I mean about this is you each have a very unique culture at the company you work at or run. Its own dynamics about management style or autonomy or teamwork. Those things are similar to the behaviors in that people have different preferences. So you could even have a great hire, a great candidate, but when you add that to a bad fit to your company, it still equals turnover. It doesn't equal the success that we're looking for. You're tracking with me? So we're going to go through some tools to help you figure this out. Most hiring managers are not thinking about this stuff, so you're going to win. All right, so we're going to start with the right person. And this is going to go through the natural behaviors. How do we get down to what natural behaviors we're looking for, and then how do we assess that in an interview? So tell me, what percentage of employers do you think would admit that they've hired the wrong person? Bad hire. Any guesses? 70? Good guess. 90? Yeah, higher. I'm with you guys, 90, 100. So 74 were willing to admit it. 74% of humble souls that were willing to say, yes, I've made a bad hire. But in my experience, it's 100%. I've made a bad hire, you've made a bad hire, we've all made bad hires. And that's not acceptable because we're losing time, we're losing money, we're losing our hair. I mean, this is not acceptable. So if you will go to your packet, I think it's the back page. It says hiring assessment. This is a one-page tool. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Steph, you said you were going to make this easier. Now you're giving me more work, and I'm busy, and I don't have time, which I get it. But I stick by my word. This will save you time in the long run. So it is worth the upfront work. This should be done every time you have an open position. Every time. Even if you've hired a sales role 1,000 times, I hope that as you've hired, you've learned what worked or didn't work, or if only they had this or didn't do that. So you should be getting actually better at this over time. And this will help you do a few key things. You'll see there are questions around what are you looking for in the person, but also what is the role like? How often do you just stop and think about what job am I really offering? What does it feel like to come do this work every day? And then the bottom part is going to be about your recruiting process. Really taking time to think about who should be involved, where should I go, and being more proactive about putting a plan in place that will make sense for you. It's kind of like two approaches. You can hop in the car and drive, and you might get lucky and end up at your destination, and you took the most efficient route, and it was fun, and that's great. You got lucky, but I don't run my business based on luck. I need a plan. So this tool is here to help you plan. Where are you trying to get, and what is the path we're going to take to get there, okay? So you can go through the questions, you can see what we're asking. It's not difficult, but it does take some thought, and each time you do it, it will become easier and easier. So we're not just thinking about yourself. You're probably having at least one other person interview your candidates. If not, that might be something to consider, is that you have at least 2 people. You might be very clear on your expectations for the role, but you need to make sure the other person is too. Or you might be interviewing someone with 2 different measuring sticks, and they love them for all the reasons that you're not even looking to hire them for. So this is going to bring clarity. The next is to prepare you. So let's not forget, an interview is a 2-way conversation. The person on the other side at the end is going to say, I have some questions for you. And you want to come across confident, prepared, clear, and articulate to say, yes, I can answer your question. Here's the best part of the job. Here's the hard part of the job. And the other person will feel that. They'll know that you're prepared for them to join you. And last is to really talk about the recruitment plan. There's a lot of ways to go about finding talent, and they're not all right. So you need to think about, for this role, what's the right way to do it. Any questions on the hiring assessment? Okay. Now we're going to jump to the right fit. Remember, this is about how they fit into your organization. This is going to be very critical when you think about long-term success. So I don't want you to be back in 6 months recruiting again. It's really not that fun to recruit. It's hard. So we're looking for long-term commitment and success within your organization. And the way to do that is to get the right fit. What percentage of new hires do you think leave an organization in the first year? The first year, 12 months, they're gone. 25%. You've felt this pain before, huh? 25%. 1 in 4 don't even make it a year. And we know that it takes 6 to 9 months to even get over the learning curve, to even know who to call when you need this, and what's the process, and where's the form, and it takes 6 to 9 months. And then they're gone. You lost money. You lost money, and you lost time, and you lost patience. At least I lost patience. You have a company assessment. So for the hiring assessment, I said you need to do this every time you have an open role. For the company assessment, you don't. You need to do this much less often. This is for you to take some time to think about what you are offering to a candidate. This will help you summarize an elevator pitch. So you're out, you meet someone awesome, and you think like, I kind of want them to work for me. You're very clear on what it's like to work for you and why they should come talk to you about an opportunity that you have. Second, we talked about interviewing being a 2-way conversation. This prepares you to answer those questions that they have. You want to answer honestly. You don't want to answer what you think the candidate wants to hear, because that's not going to lead to long-term success. Does it get you a butt in the chair? Yes. But does it get you the long-term success you need? No. If you say, this is our culture, and they say, yeah, that's okay. Let that one go. It's worth the wait now for the long-term success. And finally, you want to be able to assess to fit. And we're going to go through interview guides at the end where you can actually assess, here's my culture, do you fit it or not? When I think about fit, I think about an aquarium. If you have a beautiful aquarium in your home, you could tell me if it's freshwater or saltwater. How big is the tank? What temperature is the water at? Do you have cute little rocks and houses that certain fish might play in? And then when you went to buy fish, you would buy fish that thrive in your aquarium, right? Most of us would. If you don't know your aquarium, you're just buying fish. And they might live, and they might die, and you're just throwing money, hoping that one of these fish is gonna survive in here. So we gotta know, what is your aquarium? Then you can get the right fish, okay? This is a bonus, a little freebie I'll throw out to you. You'll see in the company assessment for FIT, there are questions. For example, why do your best people stay working for you? Why do they stay? You can go ask them, hey, Jerry, you know, I'm really thinking about our company and recruiting, and you're one of my best, and I want to know why you've worked here for 10 years. What do you love? What frustrates you? Because you're opening communication, you're giving them a voice, you're telling them that your opinion matters to me, that I want to keep the good things great, and I want to make the bad things go away, and that is very engaging. I'm sure all of you at some point have had a boss come to you and ask for your opinion and your guidance and your insight, and it feels awesome. So this is an opportunity to build that connection. Okay, so last but not least, we're going to talk about time. The thing that there is never enough of and always goes by too fast, right? We have to be more proactive and more prepared if we're going to win the war for talent. You saw the stats. We got work to do, and we got to move quickly. What percentage of hireable professionals are passive candidates? And what I mean by passive candidates means they're not looking for a job. They're happy at their company. They're not looking at your job posting. They're not taking the phone call from the recruiter. They are out working, making money, and having a blast. What percentage of the workforce is this? 65, good guess. 75%. Do you remember when we talked about the unemployment rate being 3.7%? And now I'm telling you that the candidates that are out there, they're not looking for jobs. That's why you're in this session. And that's why we have to do better than what we've done before, because it will not work. Projections for the labor that's coming up, graduates, education, is getting smaller. Baby boomers are getting older. There's more people retiring than people coming into the workforce. So this problem is not going away. Oh, I gave the answer away. Freebie, 10 days. You have 10 days. 10 days. 10 days. So you've got to have done your assessments, know what you're looking for, and be ready, because that candidate who does take your call isn't just interviewing with you. They're interviewing with me and your neighbor, and they're going to take an offer when they feel excited about the opportunity. So we want them to be excited about us. So this is more about a mindset. I'm asking you to shift your mindset to not thinking, oh my goodness, Rachel just resigned. I have to go post a job and see who applies, and this is horrible, and I hate recruiting. Who can I call to farm this out to? That's too late. You're too late. You're too late at that point. You should always be recruiting. Set a goal to meet at least one person a month. You got 30 days to do it. It's a reasonable goal. When you're out and about or when you're working your network, how can you meet one person a month that you can call, that you're keeping warm? Don't badger them. Just touch base every once in a while to say, where are you at? I know what your career goals are. I don't have anything yet, but I want to call you. I like you, and I want to call you when I have something, so that when Rachel resigns, you've got 6 people that you can call and say, where are you at? I told you I was calling. Come by, let's get coffee. We got to talk about this. Use your sales skills. If you have sales skills, it's really not that different. So think about, how do you translate that into people? Find out, ask questions. What's exciting to you? What do you want to do? What's your aspiration? And then tell them why you can give them all of that. So think about this as an ongoing, everyday, proactive approach. You do have a tool in your workbook. It's called a networking worksheet. And this is a mind map. So what I want you to do with this, when you're on the plane home or you have some time to just open your mind up, is think about your network. People want to help you. We don't always like to accept help, but most people want to help you. So who do you know in your big wide net of friends and networks that you could leverage to get ideas about where should I look for candidates, or who do you know, or do you have recommendations on what would make this job sound cool? Whatever your challenge is, think about who you can go to get those connections or meet those people that are the, 6 degrees? They're out there. How can you meet them? To go back to the aquarium, I'm talking not just about sit down and call people. You need fish. You go shopping for new fish, and you meet, you need salespeople in the future, and you meet the best fish salesperson you've ever met. Remember when we talked about natural behaviors? Those things that don't change much, like they give great service, and they speak to you the right way, and you feel excited about working with them, and they provide solutions. Those are transferable. Smart people who are excited about their work can learn. They can learn your process. They can learn your product. They can learn really anything that you're willing to teach them and give them time to learn. You cannot teach them those natural behaviors. So when you see that, when you're at Chili's and you see that, when you're at the fish store and you see that, you go talk to that person, or you're missing an opportunity. The worst they'll do is tell you, no, I love fish and I'm never leaving this job, but that's okay, you tried. Okay, are you with me? So we're thinking differently. While your competitor is waiting for someone to quit and posting a job online, I call that the post and pray strategy. You know what that is? You post a job, and then you just pray someone's gonna call and show up. And it's the worst kind of strategy you can have because it's not a strategy at all. So let your competitors do that. You're beyond that. While they post and pray, you are looking for talent every day, scouting those people like a true talent scout. Make sense? Any questions about this? Okay, great. On time. So as you're thinking, I just want to know, does anyone have an idea of a place or a person or something that they have never done or thought, or maybe even someone they've interacted with that they've thought, I should have this conversation? Are there any ideas about that? I see some heads nodding. Anyone want to share? No? Okay, you're too nervous. So after you have success, come back next year and tell me what worked, and then we'll share your story. Is that fair? Okay, the fun part. You've done all the hard work. You did the hiring assessment because I told you you had to. You did the company fit, and you connected with your employees, and that actually ended up feeling better than you thought it was going to. You've worked your day-to-day, you're scouting talent, and you have an opening, and you have people, and you get to interview, and this is fun. You have 2 interview guides in your packet. They're in the front. These are tailored specifically for a couple roles, one for sales and one for more internal roles or collections. I do give a disclaimer that it's not one size fits all. So take this and make it your own. But what you'll see we're doing is we're walking through everything we've talked about today. So not the legalese of hiring and interviewing, the course you've probably been to and slept through, but the other interviewing skills. So opening it, of course, I'm not saying that throw the resume away, it doesn't matter at all. There will be things you need or want to check for. And then so that's work and education. Then we're going to assess behavior, those natural behaviors. Then we're going to assess the company fit. And at the very end, we're going to close the interview. This will walk you through the whole process. What this does is it helps you come across as prepared. Your interviews are consistent, if you have coffee with one candidate and lunch with another, and the conversation is loose and fun, that's great, but what's the measuring stick? Somebody can be very likable and be a very bad employee. So what's the measuring stick? This is a measuring stick so that you know you're being consistent in every interaction. It will help you also know what answers you're looking for ahead of time. So this is another mind shift. Sometimes when we go into interviews, we know the questions we're going to ask, but we don't really know exactly what we're looking to hear back from them. And it's not a casual lunch. I don't think we're like recruiting new friends where it's just really nice to get to know them and ask questions and, oh, they're so nice, and oh, you have a dog. No, we're not trying to get to know them as a friend. We're trying to get to know them as, are you the right fit for my company? And those are two very different conversations. So when you look, let's say for the sales, you go to the behavioral assessment, and you ask someone, do you care about winning? You can decide what the right answer is for you and your culture. I only have one right answer to that question. The answer is yes. I love winning. Not maybe sometimes, one time I won this, but I didn't want my friend to lose, but yeah, I think I kind of like to win, but I really want to be fair. No. If I'm hiring you for a sales rep, the answer is yes, I love winning. That's a good answer. So you should know, what are the answers you're looking for when you're interviewing candidates? Okay? When you get to the company fit assessment, on the interview, you've done the assessment, you've really tried to figure out what is the aquarium we have here. Now you're trying to figure out the fish that fit. That company fit assessment is the right answer to the questions. And those are the only right answers to the questions. It doesn't mean somebody has to get we're not looking for like 100. They don't have to have every question perfectly answered, but they better have a lot of them perfectly answered if you're looking for the right person who's going to help you grow your business, meet your objectives, and stay with you for the long haul so that you're not back doing the same thing over and over again. Does this make sense? Yeah? Okay. I think I might have scared you, some of you, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to ask her any questions because she's like, wrong answer. No, wrong answer. But it's important. You're not just trying to get to know someone, you're screening them. Okay, so I think I missed my summary slide, but in summary, we talked about a few really key things. The first is you need to know those natural behaviors, the stripes that you're looking for. If you want someone who's working the floor, shaking hands, building a long list of networks, they need to love to do that. If you want someone to sit behind a desk and work on a computer and work independently, they need to love to do that. So be able to assess for those natural behaviors. Really think about the fit. What is your company and who fits here? And don't be afraid to own that. And don't be afraid to filter people out because they don't really fit into what you have to offer. Short term, it doesn't feel good. I know, I've been there. You're like, oh, I think I really like you, but I don't think you really like what I have to offer you. And that feels horrible, and it's very tempting to move the line at that point and say, maybe we can make it work, or oh, maybe they'll end up being happy. They won't. They won't. People like what they like, and that's okay. So just pass and feel the pain, because long term, you'll be so happy that you did that. And finally, I asked you to make a mind shift about recruiting. Throw the post and pray strategy away, or let your competitors have that. They will not beat you with that. And shift to a more proactive approach through your network and through your day-to-day life where you're constantly scouting talent so that when you have an opening, you can close that quicker than any competitor will be able to. Thank you so much for your time, for your intention, for your engagement. Again, my name is Stephanie Beljon. My contact information is here. I'm happy to answer any questions. I promise there won't be wrong answers. I'll be up here for a little bit if you want to pop up. And well, we have some time. I'll take it. Yeah.
So what is your philosophy on hiring with like a personality profile test on the beginning of the interview process?
Thank you for the
question. Do you have recommendations, or do you use something in particular?
Thank you for the recommendation. My thoughts on hiring with any sort of personality or natural behavior type screener is don't do it unless you feel very comfortable in the tool. That's my first tip. Because otherwise it's confusing and you're not really sure that it's helping you make the right decisions. So if you're going to do it, really commit to it.
Recruitment strategy to get somebody that's with a different employer that you want to hire?
Oh, great question. Okay, so if we want to hire someone who works for someone else, you need to find out where you can meet that person. Where are they? You can't go there. Some people are bold. They'll call in. That's your comfort level if you want to try to call and make a connection. Even if you do so, you saw that 75% are passive. They're not even taking any call. They're not interested. They think they're not interested because they don't know what you have to offer, I should say. So you need to find where can you bump into them. Are they at trainings? Are they going to certain events? Where can you find the talent and be there? And be ready to talk and have your pitch ready and know what your company is, what you have to offer, and make those connections. What other questions?
Do you have a recommendation if you really like a candidate and you made it through the interview and you think you're going to hire this person? We've noticed that if we bring them in for a day or half a day to kind of work in our office to kind of make sure that they're going to fit. Do you recommend something like that, or do you see people doing that?
Yeah, I think that's great. The more opportunity you can see them, the better. Kind of goes back to when I said, hopefully you're not the only person interviewing your candidate, because that's a very limited perspective on what you're hiring, who you're hiring. So you can build out more people to meet with them, especially if you've set that really clear, what's the measuring stick, having them come in and spend time, join a meeting. I love to do something casual with candidates, so let's grab a coffee or a dinner, because I see them with their guard down a little bit, and you can hear some very telling stories. And if you want some laughs, I can share some. They're not always good stories. But people get comfortable, they let their guard down, they'll tell you things, even about their attitude, about work and their employers. So the answer is yes. Any opportunity you have to see them in a different way or with your team and in your work is a bonus for them to make the right decision too. Because again, we want them to know if they want to work for us as much as we want to feel that back. Thank you.
I do that a lot, and that actually works really well. Have them come in for 2 half days. But my question is, a lot of times I'm interviewing somebody, and for a certain position, I can see they're not the right fit for that position, but they're a really good fit for another position that I would like, but that position is already filled. And I don't want to overstaff that position, because then I'll be spending money unnecessarily, but I really want them. And I don't want to leave them lingering out there because they're looking for a job somewhere.
Yep.
What do you do in those cases? Maybe let go of that person who's not performing as well, replace them, or?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we've probably all been there. It kind of depends on your situation and your appetite for overspending, like you said. If the other person is underperforming, which I think I heard you say towards the end, yeah, I'm hiring the good person, and I'm working that person, the underperformer, out. Hopefully, I'm already working on that, because when you're underperforming, you've been underperforming, so hopefully you haven't been letting that slide where you're starting from scratch, which I know happens, but then you get in a pickle. So if you can afford it, I would say snatch that talent up. Maybe that you have some special projects they can do, or you can figure out something unique and creative to get them excited and engaged and see the path towards this other role. If that's not an option, you just cannot afford the extra salary, or you think you have a longer path with this person that's not performing to get them out, I would at a minimum ask some really meaningful questions to that candidate about their career and their goals and their timelines and what they're open to or flexible for. I want to really understand where they're at and then be able to decide how can I deal with it from that. Because they might say, I don't have to leave my job right now. I like you. I like the team. When you call, I'm going to come work for you. And then you just want to keep them warm if you can't pull the trigger to bring them on board. But when you find talent, real talent, and you all know what I'm talking about, those superstars that you never want to lose and you love having them, don't let it get too far away from you. Do whatever you can to get and keep that in your organization.
Do you know anything about specialized video training and testing processes?
Do you mean specifically for recruiting or for your current employees?
For new hires.
For new
Because you have
hires.
institutional knowledge inside of your company, and the quicker you get to them there, the better it is.
Yeah.
What do you know about that? Do you know of any companies that do that specifically for this business?
Yeah, are you looking to create, do you want off-the-shelf modules and training, or are you looking for something to create where you could have that created specifically for your company?
I'd like to see what's out there, and if it's not available, then I'd like to create it professionally.
Create something? Yes, there are a lot of companies who offer new hire training and onboarding. They'll have some standard modules. I don't know specifically for how niche we could get with that, but I'm happy to do some research or talk with you more about what you're looking for and see if I can help.
I think NIADA
Yeah.
has a partner that is an HR module and compliance training and hiring
That'd be
and
great.
kind of what you're looking for. So NIADA has a partner. Scott Lilja, I'll get with you. We'll get you the information.
Hi, one more question for you.
Yeah.
So say you hire the right person, they've been working for you 3 to 5 years, and it's just that person's no longer continuing to grow with the company, not necessarily the right fit, but they were at the time of hire, and they've kind of had a great role, but you're just kind of ready to move to the next level and replace them, essentially.
Yeah. How to manage it? Is that the question? Yeah, this happens. People outgrow their roles, or they get tired of doing the same thing and want to do something more or different. I think this may be simple, but really the most valuable solution is that you're having those conversations regularly. So that one-on-one time, how you doing? Are you having fun? What do you love to do? What are you excited about? What's frustrating? You always want to know where your employees are, because I'm sure we've all gotten the surprise resignation. It doesn't feel good, and you feel like, what did I miss? So you don't want to miss that. And if you're feeling that way, like, I just don't know if they're performing at the level anymore, if you're having those conversations and you're making expectations clear, I need to see you do A, B, and C, then you can have a different conversation about their ability to meet expectations. Like if you've outgrown them and they're not growing with you, first make sure that you've told them exactly what you need to see. They might surprise you and start operating at that level, like, I didn't realize we were there. I thought we were still here. So give them that chance to surprise you. And if they can't, then you're going to have to go down the performance management path. Performance management sounds very negative, like you're going to fire them, which doesn't feel good if you've had a good employee. It's like, well, we've had a good run, but it's just not good anymore. It doesn't have to be a negative experience. If you're being open and honest about your expectations and how things are going, and they feel safe enough with you to be open and honest about if they're having fun or if they're frustrated or burnt out, usually those conversations can lead to a very peaceful either resolution, or they'll resign and do something else because they feel it too. Most people want to do great work, and they want to make sure their boss and their leaders are happy and proud of their performance. And if you don't feel like you can do that, most people will leave if it's clear. The biggest mistake I typically see is that those expectations have not been made clear to the employee. So they feel weird, like, ugh, it doesn't feel as good as it used to, like I don't have that same sense of reward and recognition, but they don't know why it feels like they're not doing such a good job. But if you have the conversation and you make it clear, they'll usually get the point. Does that answer your question? Great. Any others? I think we're just about out of time and lunch awaits you. So thank you again for your time, for your questions. I'll be around. I'm happy to answer any others, and I wish you great luck in your recruiting. Thank you.